In this lecture, I'll show you how to install CentOS in a virtual machine. The first step is to download the CentOS ISO file from the official CentOS website. I'm installing the latest version of CentOS, which is 8 at the moment, and I'll select a mirror server that is geographically closer to me. These servers act like backup servers and provide fault tolerance and availability. And I'm downloading the ISO file. You can download the DVD file which contains all the applications, or a smaller one, the boot file. I'm downloading the boot ISO file. In fact, I've already downloaded the file to save time, and now it's on my desktop. The next step is to start VirtualBox. I suppose you've already installed it. I've shown you how to do it when we have installed Ubuntu. If, for some reasons, you don't have it, just go to virtualbox.org, click the Downloads link, and then download and install VirtualBox for our platform. The installation is very simple, and there's no point to show you this at the moment. Download and install VirtualBox extension pack as well. This is provided as a single file for all platforms. Let's return to CentOS installation. Go to Machine and click New. This will create a new virtual machine. Give it a relevant name like CentOS 8. Set its type to Linux and version to Red Hat 64-bit. I'm clicking Next. In this window, select the amount of RAM that will be used by CentOS. The recommended size is 2 GB, but the more you can give, the better it will be. Now it's time to create a virtual disk. This serves as the hard disk of the virtual Linux system. It is where CentOS will store its files, and it's completely isolated in a single disk file. Click Create and leave the default selection for the hard disk file and type. In this step, leave the default selection, which is dynamically allocated. The disk file will only use space on your physical hard disk as it fills up to the maximum fixed size you'll be setting up in the next step. Now it's time to select file location and size. I'd recommend you to use 20 GB. If possible, for maximum performance, the location should be on an SSD disk. I'll leave the default location and click Create. Now it's time to boot the ISO file we've just downloaded and install CentOS as a virtual operating system. I'm clicking the Start icon and then selecting the startup file, which is the ISO file. I'll browse to its location on my desktop by clicking the folder icon. In this window, I'm clicking Add and I'm going to my desktop to select it. The ISO file was selected and I'm clicking Choose and Start. It has started, and in a few seconds you'll be presented with the grab menu and some options. I'm selecting the first option, which is Install CentOS Linux 8. After hitting Enter, it's possible to get an error. If you get this error, which is related to AMD V or VTX, while trying to start the VM, it means that the virtualization or VTX is disabled in your computer BIOS. Reboot your system and access the BIOS settings using a function key that is specific for a computer or laptop model. Look for something related to virtualization or VTX and enable it. Save the settings, restart the system, and then start the VM again. Let's return to the CentOS installation. I'm hitting enter. Note that when you click somewhere in CentOS, the mouse pointer will be captured by the guest OS. To return the ownership of the mouse to your host OS, VirtualBox reserves a special key, the host key. By default, this is the right control key on your keyboard. So to release the mouse pointer, I have to press on the control key. I'm selecting the language and I'm clicking Continue. In the next window, a summary of the installation is displayed. Before continuing, I have to complete the items marked with this exclamation mark icon. I'm clicking the installation destination, selecting the virtual hard drive, and leaving the storage configuration to its default values. So, to automatic. And I'm clicking Done. Next, I'll set the network, so I'm clicking the network and hostname. In this window, I'm enabling the network interface, which, at least in my case, was disabled. Now it's on. I'll also change the hostname to CentOS 8. I'm clicking Apply and Done. Next, I'll click the software selection. If you want to install CentOS server with a graphical user interface, then you don't have to do anything else. But if you want to install CentOS as a headless server or without a GUI, select the second option, this one. I'd recommend you to leave it as it is. And I'm clicking Done. Great, there's no exclamation mark. I can begin the installation. If you want to make other changes, like setting up the time and date, now it's the time to do it. I'm done, so I'll click on Begin Installation. The installation has started, and I have to set the root password and another non-privileged user. I'm setting the root password. And I'm creating a new non-privileged user. This is in fact the user that will be used to log into the system. Type his full name, username, and his password. I'd recommend you to select this option as well. Make this user administrator. And I'm done. The installation is still running. It will take a few minutes, maybe more than 10, depending on your hardware and internet speed. It's downloading a lot of software. I'm pausing the recording until it's done. And it's done. I'm rebooting it. After a successful installation, we need to restart the virtual machine. The ISO file used for installation was mounted on an optical drive or a CD-ROM. This time, we don't need the ISO file inserted in the optical drive, and I don't want it to boot up from that file again. So go to Devices, Optical Drives, and remove disk from virtual drive. If it says that's currently busy, then go ahead and force it to unmount. Restart the VM by going to Machine and Reset. Start the VM again, and it should probably boot into the new CentOS 8. Now it's booting into the new operating system. At the first boot, you have to accept the license. The distribution was released under GPL v2 license, which means it's completely free. I accept the license agreement and finish the configuration. And I'll be greeted with the welcome screen of CentOS. I'm logging in using the username and password created during installation. It will prompt you for some configuration like language, privacy, and so on. Just click on Next a few times. After that, it should display your desktop. Great. The network card is put into net mode, so I can access the internet as well. I'm opening Firefox. Let's see if I can access centos.org. And it's working. I have an active internet connection. If it's not working, check that your network interface is set to connect automatically. Go to this top arrow, Wired Connected, Wired Settings, and check that the wired interface is connected and set to connect automatically at boot time. Great! You now have a very nice Linux server distribution running.